Right now we are working on a 1999 Suzuki DS350 that I picked up for $150. And I purchased a gasket set off of eBay for 20 bucks and pretty much got this thing in a milk crate. And the rear axle is all jacked up. I think it's missing a few spokes. So let's get over to the table and look at the motor. So this is what I've got figured out for the motor so far. I've got the crank in, and I checked the crank. I literally got this already split like this. Like, didn't get it put together. So I checked the crank. There's no up and down play. There's very little side to side play. I got this gear in and the balancer gear installed. And then down here on the gear, there's two dots that have to be lined up. So for the crank and the counterbalancer, they need to line up just like that. And then with the counterbalancer, there will be a washer, actually two washers. There's a big washer that goes on, and then a little washer. After that, I've got the shift drum into place with the one shift fork on this side installed. I have all the gears installed. I almost lost a gear, the one that's all the way down in the bottom down there. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 gears on this side. I almost forgot the one all the way at the bottom. 2 shift forks installed here in their grooves, installed into the drum. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 gears as well on this side, and with a washer on the outside of that. So I figured all of that out using partzilla.com, just looking at the parts. And then there's also a O-ring that goes right here underneath the crank. I checked all the bearings. All the bearings seem good. So I'm ready to put these two halves together. So I'm going to be putting the two halves together with a silicone. This is the only one I have laying around. It's a high temp gray RTV silicone and gasket maker. It's oil resistant. It says for best results, surfaces should be clean and dry. Apply 1/16 to a 1/4 ounce bead around both surfaces. Assemble the parts, finger tighten them, let it sit for 1 hour, and then tighten to the torque specifications. Allow 24 hours to fully cure before adding any fluids. So I recommend wearing some sort of gloves when you put this silicone on, because it can be quite messy and stain your fingers up, although it's not needed. So I'm probably going to speed through this part.
Hey kid, don't ever let them get inside your head. They'll tell you what to do in life instead of everything you know that you could get. Don't let them guide your life towards regret. I'll fight for what I love with every breath. My past is filled with things I won't forget. I use them all to push me to my best. So treat the worst of times just like a test. If only I could go back in time, I'd tell myself that everything will end up alright. Just push yourself, test yourself, figure out what you like, and find your limits, don't be rigid, always work towards a prime. Surround yourself with open minds, people can change your life. A few friends with intention time. Just be patient, make a statement, try to enjoy your life. They'll try to kick you while you're down. They wanna rise up while you drown. They wanna fill your head with doubt. They're silently scared that you'll figure it out. I'll make it look like I'm losing, won't bother hiding my bruises. And when they finally think you're wounded, then it's your chance to be ruthless.
Okay, so now I'm running my hand on the inside of all of this to try and get any of the extra gasket material out of there. Because when you put the two halves together, you don't really want a bunch to squish in on the inside of the motor. So I'll try and get off as much as I can. Okay, half of it's done. I'm going to go ahead and start working on this half.
They don't wanna see me make it, they don't wanna see me care. Anytime I make some progress, I can see that they compare. I think everyone's against me, maybe something in the air. Am I paranoid? I swear a void is forming and they're scared. I walk a straight path, not many can say that. I like to play fast, cross me and there's payback. You better pray that I don't see your face at any place that I go. I know you hate that. I've been doing fine, I'm not wasting any more time. I live for the fight and the climb, and I think that the pain that's deep inside is what defines. So I won't give up, I'm gonna make it to the top. I don't care what's in my way, I swear I'm never gonna stop. I could fall flat on my face and I swear I will get back up. Cause I don't deserve a thing and the road ahead is tough. They'll try to kick you while you're down. They wanna rise up while you drown. They wanna fill your head with doubt. They're silently scared that you'll figure it out. I'll make it look like I'm losing, won't bother hiding my bruises.
Alright, now I'm going to take this, try to clean up this gasket cap the best I can. So possibly be able to use it again another time. So looking at this all the way around, got a nice little bead. There we go. And this one, the same way. I don't think that you have to do both halves, but it's just the way that I've always done it. I got these two beautiful looking boards so that I can slide the back side of the crankshaft and the sprocket gear through the hole. Get it lined up somewhat center and make sure it's balanced. But this way, so that when I put that other case half on here, I can beat down on the case and not worry about the gears coming out or the crankshaft popping back out. Otherwise they won't really go together very nicely. So I'm going to take this half and I'm going to slide it down on, making sure everything's lining up. And then I have about a ½ inch gap all the way around. That's probably the best I'm going to get without tapping. So I'm going to use a rubber mallet and just kind of beat around the outsides. Okay, now it's touching all the way around, and I've got it upside down. Sweet, so I gotta try and flip this thing over. Okay, successfully flipped it over, and it is still touching everything all the way around. I'm going to get the bolts in, which I've taken the best guess that I could to say that these are the bolts for the case half. So to try and figure out which bolt goes where, I'm pretty much going to the bolt holes, and then I take and I line the bolt up, and I see how far past the case half the bolt will be to see if that's the right length. So I'm guessing this one's good to go here, but then this shorter one wouldn't even make it to the case half. So this, ooh, yep, that's the way we drop things. Perfect. So this shorter one probably isn't long enough for there, but it's good right here. So we'll stick it here, and I'm gonna do that all the way around. Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 bolts. I'm gonna go ahead and get them down to finger tight. Okay, now I've got to let it sit for 1 hour, so I'll be back in an hour. Okay, now it's been long enough. I need to torque these bolts down, which my torque wrench isn't working, so I just kind of did them by hand. Not tight enough that they're going to strip out, but tight enough that they're definitely not going to come loose. And then I'm going to go ahead and verify that everything's spinning nice and free. I'll spin the shift drum a little bit. So that seems all good. And the crank rotates nice and smooth. Alright, that's it for putting the case halves together. Next episode, I'll be working on putting the clutch side together.